welcome into Geeks and Suits. I think, is this episode 10?
It's episode 10.
We hit double digits.
Wow.
So much,
Dubs.
so many, weeks between episodes, and I think it took us like 6 months to get to 10 episodes, which is just a horrible turnaround rate, but it is what it is. We start tonight on an extremely somber note because it is currently 7:35 on Monday, August 11th, and we all heard within the last hour about the
last 10 minutes, really.
Well, yeah, for you guys and for me within like the last 45, because at first I was like panicked. But Robin Williams dead at the age of 63. We had a whole podcast planned that we'll try to get to, but this takes up a lot of space.
It's going to be a long podcast.
This isn't like an actor who it's different than like a Heath Ledger or even
Paul Walker.
or Paul Walker, or even to an extent a Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman was 46 when he died.
He was 46, and I know I don't mean it like that, but just like the body of work was so like Philip Seymour Hoffman for the most part had a market, if you will. Like he was a very well renowned dramatic actor with flashes of comedy.
He had his niche, yeah.
And Robin Williams could do like everything.
That is very.
And he excelled at comedy because he just had that gift of improv that you could never keep up with, and that's what made him so fun. But
before we forget, should we just pour some out?
Yeah, I'll just do it.
Here.
Yeah.
Here, Chase.
I got a glass over here, so I'll pour. I'm wasting Great Lakes Oktoberfest.
I got water.
You got water. I hate to pour out too much, but I did. I poured out what I had to.
Here, I'll take that glass too.
You'll combine.
So we don't pour it on our.
Do a little Great Lakes Dortmunder into the glass.
Pour some out.
I bet that would taste good together, but that's in honor of Robin Williams, so we will not find out of this glass, anyways. So yeah, Robin Williams dead at the age of 63.
Parent suicide.
And a parent suicide, and going so far as I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere that I've looked, but I also am not looking too hard because I don't want to see for sure. But had somebody tell me that he hanged himself. So that's about as frustrating and sorrowful as it gets for an actor as beloved as Robin Williams. So
when you told me that, like, however, 2 or 3 minutes ago, I twinged. It just there's suicide, and then there's the thought of that type of image of whoever it may be. Yeah, of an actor like, and I tweeted out right after I found out, and I'm paraphrasing this. Actually, I'm making it more I'm expanding on it, but I remember thinking when I was like a teenager or just a bit younger, when the concept of death kind of finally hit me and I realized what it was about, and I thought about celebrities that I really don't want to see the day that they die. Robin Williams was the first celebrity that came to my mind at that time, and it sucks just as much as I'd expected it would. I can't remember a celebrity death where I was just this kind of bummed. I said with the Heath Ledger and Philip Seymour Hoffman and Paul Walker, I respect all those actors in various ways, and I like them all, but Robin Williams had some of. I was 10 years old when Flubber came out. I was 6 when Aladdin came out, 5 or 6. And those are 2 of my favorite childhood movies, are Flubber and Aladdin. And and on top of that, Aladdin's a movie that I can still watch to this day. Oh, absolutely.
And even Jumanji, you mentioned that one and reminded me of Jumanji as well, Ben. That's one that, somehow always would be replayed a bunch on Comedy Central. And it was so. I grew an appreciation for it just from watching it on that, or maybe it wasn't Comedy Central, but there was a TV network that it was on just all the time. And then as I grew older and watched Good Will Hunting, which is the movie that he won an Oscar for, and very deservedly so, and the famous improvised scene where he is talking to Matt Damon's character, Will Hunting, about how his wife farted in her sleep, and like that whole scene was apparently improvised by Robin Williams, and it's one of the funniest things in the entire movie.
And that was always his biggest thing.
Yeah, he was just amazing. Like, I genuinely wonder, and I know that it couldn't be the case, but I wonder how much of Aladdin they actually had to wait on Robin Williams to do his lines. Because he either improv'd or he did impressions in those moments. Like the scene that I always think of is when they're outside of the castle, and
he's after they escape the sand tomb,
and I if I remember correctly, and he's the genie is playing chess with the magic carpet.
Yeah.
And then he says, I can't believe it, I'm losing to a rug, but he says it like Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
And they have him go from like the regular genie to like a cartoon version of Rodney Dangerfield.
Right.
And then moments later, he does a Jack Nicholson impression to
does he have
like
the sunglasses on
Yeah,
too?
and that's when he has the sunglasses on and the slick back hair and all that stuff. And like, all right, Sparky, here's the deal. And he does that, and it's like that, just back to back. And I think there's no way that they anticipated him doing all of those impressions. Like, some of them maybe, but there had to be a lot of cells in that animation studio that they waited for him to record his lines before they're like, all right, we can finally finalize Robin's scenes, just let's get him done with.
I remember, this is really weird because it was only a week ago that I read this. I think it was on some random Twitter fact account that I read about movies and stuff every once in a while. They said that I think Williams, before he signed on to do Aladdin, said that he wanted to see what the genie looked like and what he acted like and how he appeared before he would give the okay to do a voiceover for the character even. He had to almost be wooed by Disney and see what the final product was going to look like before he okayed it. But you touched on Aladdin and Flubber and movies like that, and then you mentioned Good Will Hunting. There's Dead Poets Society, Jumanji,
Ms. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire, and Hook and
Bicentennial Man. All of those movies are so different, and they had such a wide variety, and he was consistently good in them, though.
Yeah.
Oh, he was good in everything.
Because other actors can go and play different roles in different movies and stuff, and they're not always standouts. But that's something I always noticed about Robin Williams was the movies he's in. I always knew, Robin Williams is playing so-and-so in this.
One of my favorite Robin Williams performances is one that I don't feel like a lot of people saw. And it was in Death to Smoochie, which was directed by Danny DeVito, and it starred Robin Williams and Edward Norton, and Robin Williams played Rainbow Randolph. He was a kids host, but he was disgraced because he was taking money as bribes to get, if I'm remembering the plot correctly, to get kids on to his show, and he's like a druggie and all that stuff, and he gets fired, and then he gets replaced by Goody Two-Shoes, Edward Norton's character, who plays this dinosaur named Smoochie. And the whole movie is about Robin Williams' character trying to mess up Smoochie's new reign as this king of kids shows.
When did it come out?
It was in 2002.
Okay, so
one of the classic moments from that movie is he bakes a bunch of cookies over a trash can because he's homeless, because he's been disgraced and all that stuff, and he's bankrupt. He bakes a bunch of cookies on a trash can that are shaped like a penis, like a cock and balls. And there's a cookie time feature on the Smoochie kids show, and he sneaks the cookies in so that they bring him out, and it's these dick and ball cookies. And And Edward Norton's character Smoochie is shocked initially, but then he's like, it's a rocket ship, and everybody gets all excited, and all the kids are like running around with he's just trying to save it, and they're in the middle of taping, and Robin Williams' character, who was Rainbow Randolph, who was in the building watching it happen, just storms the set, and he's like, "No! Are you shitting me? It's a cock! It's clearly a dick and balls!" Just in front of all these kids and all the just saying, "It's a cock! Look at it! It's a cock! This is clearly a penis!" And it's so just ridiculous. And the movie itself is one of the darkest comedies I've ever seen. And it's Danny DeVito's in it. Oh yeah, it was a hard R.
So it was
Jon Stewart is in it. It's just a tremendously funny movie that not a lot of people saw, and it's one of my favorite underrated Robin Williams performances. Definitely.
One movie I forgot about. Well, it's a series of movies now that he's been in the past decade or so that I never really paid attention to, but I know a lot of people.
Night at the Museum.
Night at the Museum.
Yeah, he was Teddy Roosevelt.
Right. Teddy Roosevelt.
And the third one is gonna come out this year, I think.
So that'll probably go down as his last movie.
It's entirely possible,
probably,
yeah.
And going back to the way he could play pretty much anything. Remember, after Batman Begins, he was being considered to be Joker for The Dark Knight.
Well, he was the front runner.
He was the front runner
until
and then Heath Ledger kind of stole the show. But I mean, I would have loved to see Robin Williams as
it would have been
Joker.
Because he has proven that he can the movie Insomnia, which was Christopher Nolan's second big movie. It was his first movie after Memento.
Oh,
it was Al Pacino, Robin Williams, and Hilary Swank. And it's another underrated movie, but it was one of the first dramatic, truly dramatic, and even more so Robin Williams as a villain movies that there was. And so it wasn't embraced that well. It was a decent movie. It's not hadn't
picked up.
He hadn't. Memento was so good. I think a lot of people were let down too because Memento was so revolutionary.
Yeah.
And then he followed it up with Insomnia, which was kind of like a paint by numbers crime movie, but not entirely. Pacino's the cop, and he's trying to catch Robin Williams, the killer, but they live in Alaska, and it's at that point where there's always sunlight and always daytime. So that's where Insomnia comes from, because Al Pacino's character can't sleep, and it's really interesting. I haven't seen it in years, but I mean it was good. And another great dramatic role was and actually maybe the first truly terrifying moment for me as far as somebody who's scared of eye stuff.
Hence,
that's right.
Yeah,
for you.
Is the movie 1 Hour Photo, which I don't remember much about it, but there's one very distinct scene that I will never ever forget. He plays a photo technician at a Walmart type of store, and
develops the photos.
Yeah, develops the photos, all that stuff, and he has a dream. Where he's in a completely empty supermarket, the store that he works in, completely empty. The shelves are white. It's fluorescent lighting. It's just all white and bright, and you see him at the end of the row, and it's a fade shot, and he's closer, and then it's a fade shot, and he's closer again, and then it cuts to him right in front of the camera with his hands in front of his eyes. And blood just starts gushing from underneath his hands, his eyes exploded or something like that. And it's just so sudden and unexpected and terrifying. And then he just wakes up, but it's just such a weird moment, right in the middle of what's happening. And that's as much as I hate to say it, that more than anything outside of Aladdin is probably the number one Robin Williams
That's a horrible
thing.
memory to have.
Yeah, it is. And it's not it's one for good. It's just the most odd thing that I will never forget about a Robin Williams performance. A forgettable movie where he was a villain yet again, but just that weird visualization was terrifying. So, I don't know. Do we want to try and quickly throw together like a slightly definitive list of like our favorite Robin Williams movies before we keep it? Because I feel like I just talked.
Yeah, we can throw out 5 of them. I know for me it'll be Aladdin and Flubber, definitely.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I loved Robin Williams as an actor, but unfortunately I haven't really watched.
That's something we can easily fix.
Yeah, which now I'll probably be going back and watching those movies. Mm-hmm. But the 2 standouts for me are definitely Aladdin and Flubber.
Yeah. I haven't seen Hook or Mrs. Doubtfire enough times to qualify them, or even Good Morning Vietnam. I've only seen that twice as well. Mm-hmm. So I can't really count those on my like favorite Robin Williams movies. But I mean, in order from like release, from like old to new, I would probably have to say Aladdin, Jumanji, Good Will Hunting, Death to Smoochie, and actually I'd probably have to go back and throw in The Birdcage, which is one of the weirder yet funnier movies I've ever seen, because Robin Williams plays a gay man, and it's hysterical. So yeah.
In a comedic way, he portrays one. Not
it's
like not like a serious.
He's dating Nathan Lane.
Okay.
And Nathan Lane is the like overly flamboyant gay in the relationship,
okay.
and Robin Williams is by no means like a masculine, or I don't know what the right way to put it, but like a masculine gay. I don't want to say like a straight gay, because I have like one of my gay friends,
who's not all gay about it.
Yeah, like he doesn't come across as a stereotypical.
He's not in
gay.
your face gay.
Yeah. I would say he's very masculine, or at least semi-masculine, and especially when compared to Nathan Lane's like ridiculously flamboyant gay, and just the chemistry between the two is oddly charming. It's very funny. So, anyways, that's I'd say that's my 5.
We're all gonna say Aladdin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
we grew up on that.
I mean, hey, Disney. Disney Aladdin, is fabulous at all their animation stuff.
Dead Poet Society. Mm-hmm. I've only watched that once, but I still distinctly remember scenes from that. I watched it once in high school, I think for a class.
That sounds like Hoach.
It was actually Dieners, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
So
shout out Diener and Hoach.
Both.
Bicentennial Man, which I know you guys haven't watched, but I don't know why
I remember seeing part of it.
I don't know why I watched it at such a young age. I think it was a really long movie, too.
Yeah, it's like over 2 hours.
Yeah.
From what
It's the whole story of a robot turning into a human, basically.
Yeah.
That one and Flubber I really liked, too.
Yeah.
That was one I remember as a kid a lot. So,
those
would be my notables that I'll remember most, probably.
Yeah. It's a sad day for sure, but R.I.P. Robin Williams, you were definitely one of the great actors of our generation.
Absolutely.
And great...
He won one Academy Award,
He got
right?
one Academy Award, Best Supporting Actor for Good Will Hunting.
He had quite a few Golden Globes, I think, though.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
And another thing I want to throw out there, one of my favorite things about Robin Williams is his golf stand-up comedy.
Let's not discredit his stand-ups.
I was just getting ready to actually throw the amendment in at the end. His Live on Broadway, which I believe was in 2002 or 3. I actually got that for Christmas. And watched that. It is the golf skit.
So funny.
That was one of the first stand-ups I've ever heard.
Yeah, same. And it's still one of my absolute favorites.
It's one of my favorites.
It's not even him in his prime. It's him just like saying, I feel like going back to stand-up for one special.
Yeah.
And he kills it.
It's so funny.
He kills it.
Yeah.
That's
probably my favorite Robin Williams
thing
other than Aladdin.
I think it's Live on Broadway is what it's called. Mm-hmm. I need to double check.
So, but I mean, anyway, rest in peace, Robin Williams. You will be greatly missed.
Absolutely.
So I guess it's time to switch gears a little bit to what our podcast was originally going to be about.
Yes, before
this tragic moment. But anyway, it was confirmed last week. Nothing will be official until the 23rd of August, but Cavaliers and Timberwolves have successfully worked out a deal. Kevin Love is coming to Cleveland for Andrew Wiggins, Anthony Bennett, and a first-round pick. The rest of the details aren't specific, and the Sixers may be involved, and maybe sending Thaddeus Young for Anthony Bennett. It could be a separate trade. But we talked about this a little bit, whether we'd want to trade for Kevin Love or not. What do you guys think about this? We are giving up Andrew Wiggins.
Totally fine with
it. From my point of view, look, if we have the agreement that Kevin Love is going to sign a 5-year contract with us after next year, that is 5 years of Kyrie, LeBron, and Kevin Love as our core guys.
Right.
Do you really have something to complain about there? I mean,
no.
And both of them, Kyrie and Kevin Love,
a horrible injury, you don't.
Yeah. And Kyrie and Kevin Love, they're both young. Kevin Love is basically in his prime. Kyrie still has yet to get to his prime. Yeah. Do you really think LeBron's going to leave those two guys on the table?
Well, I mean, he came out and said in that some Akron coming home ceremony that he had, that's not on his mind at all. Ever leaving Cleveland again, and even if he'd want to. He can't do that twice.
No, he can't do it.
He's there for the rest of
He can't do it, and I don't think he's going to. And especially after this trade has kind of taken shape, and we kind of get a look at the roster, because now we might be getting Sean Marion and Ray Allen yet. This roster is looking a lot better on paper, suddenly. Like, you take out Andrew Wiggins, we still have Dion Waiters, we have Mike Miller, Ray Allen can all play that backup 2-guard spot or whatever. We have our big guy in Kevin Love, who is one of the best big guys in the game, and then we have Varejao and Tristan Thompson as our other two. Then you got
we could potentially what was his name?
Yeah, Brian Kirk or something.
I don't know if he'll actually play or anything at all, but we did sign another big
We're in good shape there, and I mean, we got our lineup is looking a lot better on paper, and I think we're probably the favorite to win the East now, even over Chicago.
The pressure's there now. The pressure is full blown at this point now for us to win the East. Some people might say, we might be behind Chicago or whatever, but nevertheless, the pressure is on now.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I know we don't want to really get too far ahead of ourselves because, like I said, nothing is official till August 23rd, and we know there's all sorts of things the NBA could do if they wanted to.
We've seen them veto
Chris Paul.
Chris Paul, like a true Chris Paul fan.
Yeah, my boy Chris Paul got traded to the Lakers, and of course David Stern had to step in. But on that one, the Hornets weren't owned by a specific owner; they were still owned by the NBA.
All the owners.
Yeah,
and so a bunch of owners basically, what I think, stood up and said, "No, we don't want to do this." And that's basically what happened. But I've been hearing rumbles, ESPN's reported, SI's reported it, that the NBA might try and get involved because they suspect tampering, since technically I don't know if it's all right for a player to say, I'll sign with you guys next year for sure, to have a verbal agreement to do that.
On that part right
before
there,
he gets traded.
I think what they really need to consider is that one of the big chips in the Chris Paul deal going to the Clippers was that Chris Paul made an agreement he was going to opt into his final year of his contract.
Right.
So he was definitely there for 2 years. And, I mean, I'm not sure if that's along the same lines because he was still in his contract, or Kevin Love will be out of his contract by then.
So you're saying because of the extra year?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really think that you can...
Well, think about this. Melo basically got to New York and signed the same day.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is true.
If they come down on us for this, I'm going to be saying, well, wait a minute.
And James Harden, too. James Harden, he got traded to the Rockets 24 hours later. He had a 5-year, $80 million extension.
If this happens, if somehow they block it,
but wasn't he entering
the scenario?
He was... Well, I guess he was entering the last year of his deal.
He was.
So
he was going to be a free agent the next year. I really think if somehow this trade would go down, Adam Silver, who's been such a great commissioner at first, would start be getting those David Stern comparisons.
if he shut this trade down.
Yeah.
If he was the main catalyst in getting this trade down, maybe it'd just be Cleveland fans that say that. But that could be the first domino, really.
I'm trying to think of it from an outsider's perspective and not a Clevelander's perspective.
One of the things,
because I know there's tons of fans around the league that are sick of these LeBron super teams or whatever.
Yeah.
And if they were to stop that from happening, I'm sure there'd be a lot of fans out there that probably would actually end up.
And one of the things I've kept hearing is, how Dan Gilbert just made he made it openly clear after LeBron went to Miami that he's totally against super teams and everything.
Yeah,
and now we have Kyrie, Kevin Love, and LeBron.
And everyone's telling him to eat dog shit about that and everything, and they're like, well, he's the one who vetoed the CP3 trade and everything. Well, and what I say to that is, I'm sorry, I have a hard time sympathizing with a team that's won 5 championships in the last 10 years to complain about, the last 15 years, whatever it's been. To complain about the Lakers not getting another superstar.
And I do want to point this out, too. It's not like the Cavs. It's not like the Cavs did not do what the Heat did back in 2010.
They didn't buy a team.
Yeah, they didn't buy a team, basically. They drafted Kyrie. Yes, they got LeBron to come back to them, but that's one free agent. And then they traded for Kevin Love. They had to give up Andrew Wiggins to get him.
Yeah, not an easy thing.
Gave up
that is
maybe
completely
the most
different.
The prospect in this draft with the most potential, basically. Yeah,
that's kind of the thing with the NBA, going back to back in the 80s, like when Kareem and Magic got together, it wasn't like they agreed, hey, let's go play for the same team. Magic got drafted and the Lakers traded for Kareem.
Well,
that stuff happens.
The Lakers got smart with their trades when they acquired, what was the pick from?
Was
it the Blazers?
I'm not exactly sure. They got the Blazers pick and they got Magic. They had someone else's pick that ended up being James Worthy.
I think Magic, once they got that pick and they picked Magic in that draft in the first round that year, that's when teams really started realizing you can't be trading first round picks all the time.
Yeah, that is definitely.
And that's the only thing that makes me think, maybe this might come back and bite us someday.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of a what if he turns into Kobe Bryant situation, but even if he does, he's not going to be in his prime until
all we have
3
to
or
do
4
is
years.
hoist up one trophy, and we don't have to. It'll have been worth it.
It's very cool. I saw a tweet out when this kind of was first coming up about would you trade Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love? And someone said, listen, would you rather go to the NBA Finals 1 year, win it, and then not even make the playoffs the next 10 years, or would you go to the finals 10 straight years but lose every time? You're going to take the first one. Cleveland needs a title. That's the big thing here. And we're going for it right now. I mean, I think we could have waited and maybe held on to Wiggins, but like I said, I can't complain about Kyrie, Kevin Love, and LeBron as our core for the foreseeable future. I have nothing to complain about on that front.
Width of window compared to length of window.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the big topic here. And, obviously I was kind of skeptical about it. And, even now that we have Kevin Love basically on our team, our roster just looks so much better. I mean,
it's odd how quickly it takes shape.
Yeah.
With one more,
suddenly
like that.
Suddenly it seemed like Ray Allen and Sean Marion are
suddenly a little more interested.
Yeah, a lot more interested.
And I mean, they're crazy not to sign with us, really. I mean, Marion can take more money somewhere. I don't see Marion is going to
make a more immediate impact. I think so.
Yeah. And Sean Marion, he's kind of the short-term solution to Andrew Wiggins, because Andrew Wiggins, his biggest contribution on this team would have been defense. That's Sean Marion's specialty right now. And I'm skeptical,
despite what everyone praises him for, I'm skeptical on how much he could have actually contributed.
Yeah. So on it, I mean, I cannot complain with the route the Cavs are going. I think it's clear they know what they want and they know what they're doing at this point. I mean, I got to give it up to David Griffin. He's done a great job.
LeBron knows what he's doing a lot too. I think you got to give a lot of credit to LeBron.
Yeah,
he is basically half a GM.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think he knows more about what he's doing than a lot of NBA GMs know. Probably.
Yeah,
as far as the best choice.
It's an easy job when everyone wants to come and play with you, though. To be fair, it's not like he has to beg or talk people into it a lot.
Well, that's the main difference between LeBron now and LeBron back in 2010. He had tried for so many years to get people to come play with him in Cleveland, and it just didn't happen.
Allen, Ariza, Bosh.
Chris Bosh. Even Chris
Bosh. Before they decided to go to Miami instead together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see this team come together for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think we're definitely the favorite in the East at this point.
Oh, definitely. If the trade doesn't fall through, if everything comes through,
on wood,
it becomes us versus the Bulls very legitimately. But I think we have the edge now.
I think so,
as opposed to the Bulls, because
the only thing it's just, I think height in post game is what they might have over us. But LeBron's...
Well, that's what
LeBron managed
Gasol and Noah will do for a team. Like, that's a good...
Taj Gibson.
Yeah, that's true.
Think about this. If we do get Sean Marion, he obviously doesn't have the long-range shooting, but he could kind of be what, like, Shane Battier was back in 2012. Yeah. We can go small, put Love at the center. We could have LeBron play the 4, but Marion can guard the bigger 4 guy if necessary. If not, LeBron can too.
Marion
to fill in the holes defensively.
Marion played power forward all the time in Phoenix.
Yeah,
so he can.
He's very used to it. I mean, the more we talk about it, and the more the days go on, I really love the way this roster looks on paper. Even though, obviously, Kevin Love trade isn't done. We haven't signed Sean Marion yet, but it's really looking good from our standpoint on this.
I'm feeling pretty good about it now. Mm-hmm. Trying not to feel too good. There's going to be some adjustment early on.
Oh, absolutely. Of course
and
there is.
Everyone's going to expect it this time. So
plus, you got to remember.
So if we go 9-8, everyone better not be freaking out.
I think what people need to remember more than anything else isn't necessarily this team playing together, but this is a new GM and an NBA first-time head coach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, never mind the talent on the roster and having never played together.
Well, think about this,
You've got the new coach.
You've got
that's huge.
New playoff players, too.
Yeah.
Everyone besides LeBron, Mike Miller, James Jones, and Ray Allen.
Yeah, if they get that smorgasbord of veterans, it's LeBron and those guys, and then a bunch of playoff never-have-beens.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
that's scary to think about.
It is.
Well, not scary, but it's a cause for concern. You don't know. You just don't know what you're going to get.
That's why the window has to be open for more than a year.
Definitely,
because this is not. There's not a lot of players that go into their first playoff series or playoff. I guess not series, but just playoffs in general
season.
Yeah, and just torch the field. That doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't. I think Derrick Rose had a good first series, but they ultimately lost against Boston.
MJ kind of followed.
That wasn't his first NBA playoff performance, though, actually. They did make the playoffs his rookie year. The 63-point outburst was his second year, yeah. That is something a lot of people do forget.
Yeah, and everyone claims it and hails it as his playoff premiere.
That was not.
Yeah, because that was the year he came back after his injury.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, Tyler, what's your surprise topic that you?
Oh yeah, should we get to that now?
Holding over our head. Are we ready for that?
So you mentioned that the Cavs title window and how it might not be very long, depending on a multitude of things. How much do you guys know about arena football?
Oh boy, I know you play
played
with
in an arena.
7 players.
Okay,
and that's about it.
First of all, would you guys consider arena football a pro sport?
No,
you don't. Do you? Because
I'd call it one of those semi-pro sports.
Okay,
it's like the NBA D League.
Because the Cleveland Gladiators are playing in their first Arena Bowl. It is being hosted at Quicken Loans Arena on August 23rd. Their team is 19-1. They've won 10 straight games. They haven't lost since June 7th. Their quarterback has 99 passing touchdowns this season, 4,478 yards. He has 12 rushing touchdowns. They are facing the Arizona Rattlers, who are 17-3 and have won the last 2 Arena Bowls. So they are 2-time defending champions in arena football. This is the top, arena. This isn't like D League arena football, because I know there's like indoor football league and I actually know.
Wasn't there an XFL at one point?
Well, that was completely different though. It wasn't like arena football. But actually, I know somebody from when I was a kid who ended up going to Malone. He was my age though, so he wouldn't have been there when you were. Probably when you went there, Ben. But he was a wide receiver for their team, and he went on to play in like the next level down from like arena football in Green Bay. I forget what their team name was, but he played wide receiver for them for like 2 years, I think. So it would be like AAA in the arena football league. But it's still arena football. It's like the big thing. Cleveland's team it's the best record they've ever had. It's their first championship appearance. I had this discussion today with some people at work. Do you consider that a if they would win, would you consider that Cleveland's championship drought ending? Because it's technically correct if they would win. Because when was the last time Cleveland had a team win a pro sports championship? It was the Browns in '64. I don't think that there was whatever the Cleveland hockey team that was here. I'm pretty sure they never won.
No, they didn't.
And there's been nothing else to come through except for the Gladiators. My argument was, and I feel like this is where you guys will probably stand too, if you asked anyone out, and hell, just even at the beginning of this conversation, you didn't know, Chase, what I was talking about with the Gladiators. If you went outside of Ohio and said, hey, Cleveland won its first championship in sports last year, and they'd be like, who did it? And you'd be like, the Gladiators. And if they said who, you did not end the sports championship drought. Your city might have won a sports championship, but my opinion was, if it's not the big three, who gives a shit? Well, like, it's a great achievement, but it's not. Not the same.
You could even say Big Four if you include hockey.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's accurate.
Yeah, I would counter anyone that would argue that it would put an end to a championship drought.
Because it technically does, but
technically, but technically, I believe that the actual saying that goes along with this drought is that Cleveland hasn't had a quote unquote major sports title,
and that's just
in 50 years.
Yeah,
this is not a
major sport. We're not talking about
major sports league.
This is a great achievement, and if they win, awesome.
Yeah,
I've been to one Gladiators football game. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, heck. It was a lot of fun. I could never. I can't catch on to it. Like,
if
it's
I'd
just
be able
not
to
the
catch
same.
the game or something, I'd cheer the living shit out of it.
Yeah,
I bet I would.
Definitely.
I have no qualms with going to watch these games.
No. Like, and I'd be totally proud and bragging and be all exuberant and proud of it.
Because it's Cleveland and
But
awesome.
At the end of the day, no.
It's not the Browns. It's not the Cavs. It's not the Indians. Nobody cares as much as with those three.
Yeah, the major sports, it's basketball, it's football, it's baseball. If we had a hockey team, I guess maybe if they won a championship,
I would probably count, because if the Blue Jackets ever win the Stanley Cup, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Oh, absolutely.
And same for, even though it's not the same, if the Columbus Crew, which they actually, I think didn't they win back in 2008?
I have no idea.
I have to check this out.
You can check that.
But anyway, it's a major
sports title. The thing about
those
two teams are they're in Columbus.
Yeah.
It's still not Cleveland.
Here's my question.
Because
it's totally different. I agree.
We won a national title in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a major sports title, but that's the last real distinct championship I can recall the state of Ohio winning.
Yeah.
Including Cincinnati.
Well, here's another thing I would say. Does that sport, and I know this is kind of out there, whatever, but does that sport have a video game that comes out for it year after year?
Actually,
Arena football, I know it had one game.
time. I think it was actually Midway.
Yeah.
Because they lost the license to the NFL because they did NFL Blitz.
Yeah.
And I think they lost the license to, or they tried to use the same engine as NFL Blitz when they still had it, and it just wasn't as good.
They had one game. It didn't work, okay?
Yeah.
Baseball,
that was also
basketball,
like when arena football was in its infancy,
Yeah.
to be fair to that situation.
Yeah.
But I'm not
baseball,
discrediting
football,
it.
basketball, hockey, all have consistent...
So does soccer.
That is true. We don't have a Cleveland soccer team, though.
Yeah.
This is another national population test.
Yeah.
Is it broadcast nationally?
Yeah. And that's another argument against it.
Attention.
By the way, just to bring it back, I interrupted you. That's my fault completely. I was right though. The Columbus Crew did win the MLS Cup in 2008. So they are one time. They've only existed since like 95 or 96, and they have one championship under their belt. But they do have one They won the league in 2008.
Well, I mean, that's just a classic example, though. Like,
I didn't follow
we had
soccer
to look it
at that
up
point either.
But yeah, we had to look it up to find that.
I do know that the Blue Jackets have not gone.
No, they haven't.
They have not won the Stanley Cup. I don't even think they've gone to the playoffs more than like 3 times in their club's history.
Yeah.
Which also is not very long. Like, they haven't existed for more than 20 years.
Yeah. But still. But yeah, it's all about the major. It's a major sports title is the technical term that I carry along with it. That's basketball, baseball, or football. Because we don't have a hockey team.
I always say pro sports championship, but when I say pro sports, I mean the same thing.
It's the big 4 of America. The big 4.
In Cleveland, it's the big 3 since they don't have a hockey team anymore.
Yeah. So... Yeah, I mean, believe me, honestly, if we can catch it on TV somewhere, I'd love to watch that game because arena football is fun as hell to watch.
August 23rd, not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday.
I'm moving in that day.
And I think, actually, I'm going to be camping, so I will probably miss it also. And that tells you also exactly what you need to know about this.
Yeah.
None of us are, going out of our way. Like, even though we have other things going on, we're not going to make it a priority to watch this. You can bet all of the asses that if I could watch, if the Cleveland Cavaliers are in the NBA championship this year and they're up 3 games to anything, game 4, 5, 6,
or 3-3,
7,
or game 7.
Yeah, doesn't matter what I have going on. I will make time to watch that game so I can see Cleveland win a major sports champion.
That's the key word here, major.
I
barring
hope
hospital trips and stuff.
There's no way. Good comparison too. Like, I have not watched the Indians consistently since the 90s, but every time the Indians have been in the playoffs, you better believe I was watching the hell out of those playoff series. I'm not doing that.
I'm the same way with
other stuff.
I'm the same way with the Cavs. Like, pro basketball is my least favorite of the 3 major sports to watch on a consistent basis. Yeah. But when the playoffs start, I love watching.
Oh, it's
especially if the Cavs are in because I have somebody I can actually.
The game changes so much from regular.
It does. I mean, it's just they're so much more aggressive. Like it's so much work. Like basketball is the number 1 sport where it seems like the aggressiveness is pumped up by a million times in the playoffs. Like, hockey's always aggressive. Baseball is never aggressive.
Ever.
And football is always aggressive, but it's so ridiculously regulated that they can't be super aggressive. Like
the way the playoffs are situated with single elimination and everything, you obviously can't play series or whatever.
Yeah.
There's so much more at stake, and there's that same level of aggressiveness.
Yeah,
I think
but it's boiled to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's
why I think, and this is a whole other argument, I just want to say this. That's why I think the NBA should cut their season to 60, 65 games.
See, I think
I'd be totally okay with that.
I think that they should keep. I'm okay with them keeping an 82-game season. I want shorter playoffs, or at least shorter playoffs series.
Are so good.
I don't like a 7-game first round. I hate a 7-game.
Yeah, it used to be 5.
It's the same. It's the same for. Actually, I like what baseball does. They have a 5-game first round and a 7-game second round and World Series. Mm-hmm. See, I like that approach.
I would argue I think the MLB needs to add a round though. And that's a whole nother
enough to add for them to add a team on each side. That's that was just enough of an improvement, which technically does add around when you consider the Wild. It's a technicality. Yeah. Don't take that as me arguing against.
It's like the first 4 games in March Madness.
Yeah, the play-in games. It's like that's great, but nobody gives a shit until it gets to this round of 64.
You better believe I'm picking 2 of those every year to at least make the Sweet 16.
Oh, of course, especially after this past year. Are you kidding?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of basketball going to a 5-7-7-7.
Go back
format.
to a 5-7-7.
Yeah, because I like that a little more because I mean that's why an 82-game season seems like so much because then all of a sudden you've got a maximum 26-game season after that, and that just seems crazy on top of an 82-game season.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna keep that amount, actually it's technically 28 games, not 26.
Maximum.
26 would be like the suggested maximum for a 5-game series.
Yeah, but the max any team has played, though, I believe, is 24 games, and that was way back. No, Celtics would have broken that. That would have been
25.
26, actually. 26. They played 26 in 2008.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
because they went 7 against the Hawks, 7 against the Cavs. Yeah, 7-7-6-6. You're right. Yeah,
that was really close.
Yeah, honestly, I don't. Personally, I would understand why they would make the first round 5 games again, but I love basketball so much, I'm totally down with 7-7-7-7.
I think when
good basketball.
Yeah,
that's
good basketball.
And this is why I'm not. This is why I wouldn't mind seeing the regular season get cut down. You see teams.
You weed out the crappy teams.
Well, you weed out the crappy teams, but also there's less nights where players take the night off or they don't play.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the Spurs, or Popovich,
or Dwayne Wade last year,
or Dwayne Wade sitting out the second back-to-backs. Popovich sitting out Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili. If you shrink it to 60 games,
it happens less.
It happens a lot less because they've got more time to waste. Like, keep the same length of schedule, like however long it takes to get to the playoffs, but just not as many games scattered in there. You know, less back-to-backs, more time to practice or travel.
I'll tell you the one...
And that way, like, when you go to a game,
you're
not going to sit there and, you're disappointed because Tim Duncan isn't playing tonight or Dwayne Wade or whoever it may be, you know, who you come to watch a lot of times, especially
are playing.
Last few years when your team's been sucky like the Cavs.
I will tell you,
there's no wasted, money.
The one
spent on that
way that I can that I'm okay with a shortened season is if Bill Simmons entertaining his hell tournament gets turned into a real
thing. The mid season.
Well, no. Not that. It's his the top 7 seeds in the NBA in East and West are decided, and then every other team faces off in single elimination tournament play for the 8 seed on both sides.
Absolutely.
Because give me a 70-game season, and then the top 14 teams, or top 7 and top 7, because if I say top 14, it's like 12 teams in the West and 2 in the East.
Yeah.
So top 7 and top 7, they get like a week off, and then in the rest of that week, entertaining his hell tournament.
Absolutely.
And it's every other basketball team in the league, in the East, in the West, face off in single elimination seeded play for that 8 seed. You cannot convince me that at some point one of those teams would gain March Madness-like momentum and knock off a 1 seed. There's no way you could convince me otherwise. We've seen it happen in regular playoffs. Much less... And that's one nice thing.
It's less frequent, but it does happen.
And in the NBA,
you cherish it a lot more when it does.
In the NBA too, any one team can beat anyone on any given night.
Yeah,
the potential is always there.
That does remind me of when it comes to playoffs and playoff series. Like, I feel like in order, hockey actually has the most potential for upsets, and not only that, but. And then I think it's followed by basketball and then football, which is funny because it's the only single elimination.
You're talking baseball. Series, too.
Yeah,
right?
well, but just in general in the playoffs for the Big Four. Like the most likely where you see upsets, it seems to be hockey, basketball, football, baseball.
See, I would disagree with you on that. I'd say probably football is more.
I don't think so.
I think football would be second, and I think baseball. I think basketball is the least, honestly.
I
would argue.
In a 7-game series,
most of the time the better team
most of the time the better team
in basketball.
Wins.
Yeah, well, in basketball, but I still think hockey's the most.
Hockey, I think would.
Hockey is definitely more than anything. I mean, I don't know if it was
can swing by games
within the last 3 or 4 years. I don't remember when, but I'm sure it's been within the last 3 or 4 years. I am almost 100% sure there was one conference. All 4 top seeds lost to all 4 lower seeds in the first round, which is insane.
A number of times in hockey, also, a team has been down 3-0 and come back and win. That's not an unusual thing.
That has not
hockey.
happened in the NBA, and it's happened once in baseball.
Yeah.
And that's why I say hockey is the most likely.
The momentum can swing so much, which is so many games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the thing with football, too, they only play one game. And like I said with the NBA, any one team can
win
any team on any given night. That's how
all it takes is Tom Brady to be off one night.
Yeah.
Or Peyton Manning to be off one night.
So I'd say...
Or a defense not on their game one night.
I'd say football would be second most for upsets and then baseball.
I think baseball's last. I feel like upsets just happen the least there.
I think it's because the game is such a slow burn sometimes.
Well, and not only that, but, I mean, pitching can dictate so much of a game.
Especially in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, and typically the top-seeded teams have that pitching. Unless you're, like, a super offensive juggernaut.
95 Indians.
Yeah.
Well, let's think about...
But they ran into pitching
at
Atlanta and got mowed down.
That is so
Think about
true.
this, too. There aren't really even seeds, technically.
No.
In the baseball playoff series format.
No.
There's division winners. There's the wild card, which I guess that's as underdog as you can get. But beyond that, you have to judge the teams based on what their roster looks like, who's had the better record that year. So it's really hard sometimes to determine whether it's actually an upset or if this team was just that good all along.
Yeah.
But they were sneakily that good all along.
Yeah. But and that, I mean, that's part of my reasoning into why there's less likely to be upsets there, because for the most part, since you can only get 5 teams and really 4 teams in each side, you're not really looking at upsets because all 4 of those teams tend to deserve to be there. And whereas in basketball, football, and hockey, you've got a much broader field.
Technically, you've got half the amount of teams in the playoffs for baseball that you do
anywhere else.
But here's my problem with baseball, though. The main gripe here is that they play 162 games to determine. Now it's 10 teams. Total. Yeah. Out of 32 teams, and I'm gonna go way back to this stat. In 2000, the Indians were 90 and, like, what was it, 71 or something?
It'd be 72.
They missed the playoffs. In 1997, the Indians were 86 and 75 and were 1 game away from winning the World Series. Think about that.
Yeah, if we would have made the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? The Indians, they were hot at the end of 2000. They could have made a run at it.
Yeah.
That's why I think they could reduce the games. And
I think they need to make one more round, still keep a 5-game series. They could even make the second series 5 games.
I think that's what distinguishes it sometimes from other sports, though, and makes it so special, is the fact that you have got to win the whole division in order to even make it.
Yeah. I mean, think about how many...
It's that cherished
how many
actually get in the playoffs. It's a huge thing if you just win your division. We've got division banners for the years we won in the 90s.
Yeah.
You don't have that in other sports all the time.
Think about how many teams are, like, killing it in their divisions in April and May and then fall off entirely.
By the end.
And on top of that, think about how many teams dominate all year and then just fall apart in September. Like Boston's epic collapse a few years ago.
New York's collapse where Boston
99 Indians
brought them back.
It's just incredible. Like that's one fun thing about baseball having that lengthy schedule is you have to be at top form
consistently for so long.
Yeah. And it's not like that in any other sport. Mm-hmm. Like, because no other sport has as lengthy of a schedule. And, I mean, obviously that's going to make a difference. But even still, like, you have to go out there and bust balls for
month in and month out.
7 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the other thing about baseball, too, it is the sport that I would say has... where home field advantage has the least effect.
I would agree with that.
I think, but
until
it's almost nothing anymore.
I would agree with that until the playoffs, but even then, it doesn't always necessarily mean something because a good pitcher can shut up an entire crowd.
Oh, that's true.
I have lived it.
A good
Game
very
5,
recently. I have lived it.
Game 5, 2007. Josh Beckett
versus CC
Cleveland.
Sabathia.
Yep. Knocked us down. Series was
We'll never
over.
forget it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the exact perfect example of a good pitcher being able to shut off home court advantage and
home court, home field, whatever.
Yeah, either way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, home advantage. It sucks, but I mean that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, that's how it is.
But nobody was leaving early, so suck it.
That is true. Yeah.
That was So I'm gonna list that off. By the way, I just want to be a part of. I told you these. I didn't tell you these because you have a lot on them. But
for the
bet, yeah. So obviously since we're doing a podcast now, we had originally thought about doing the marginally drunken podcast this week.
That's a good name for it. Just call it the marginally.
The drinking game podcast. So that is coming, I promise, because I think it sounds hilarious, and I think it sounds like a great idea that could end so horribly. But here are... Ben, by the way, told me afterwards, he's like, this is going to kill us. Yeah. He's like, these rules are going to kill us. So, for the listeners, and for Chase, because you're hearing these for the first time...
Okay, let's see.
Should we withhold some of them? Because...
What, the ones that specifically revolve around Chase?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he holds dominion over some of these.
Do I get to learn these soon?
You specifically... well, one of them is specific to you. A second one is kind of... it's specific to us.
Okay.
I'll read that one. And then there's another one that I think I'm going to edit so that it's specific to you.
Okay.
So
I can't wait to hear these.
So here's the handful that I can say that aren't specific to you. If anyone says a Cleveland team name, Ben and I take a drink. So not like Cleveland sports or whatever, but like if you say the Indians, if you say the Browns, if you say the Cavs, Ben and I have to take a sip.
Awesome.
If anyone says that if we're talking about TV and we say we're trying to avoid spoilers or no spoilers or anything like that, anyone says something about spoilers, Ben and I have to take a drink.
Is one of them every time I say anyways?
No, actually.
No, it's not.
But
is it not?
Because we always say that. We all say that a lot.
There are two about like very specific words that you say.
Okay, good.
One of them was spoilers.
But I'm not allowed to know them?
No.
Okay.
But you'll catch on quick enough, I'm sure.
I'm sure I will.
Another one. This is the one that was specific to you and I. If you, Chase, or I are in... I keep forgetting that we're not doing video, and I keep pointing to you like... you'll hear it, listeners. If Chase or I are in the middle of a rant of some kind, and Ben tries to get a point in, but we keep going, and cut him off, basically, Ben has to chug.
I'm just going to yell.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is what I think about it.
I would have had to finish my beer at the beginning of the podcast because of the Robin Williams thing. But if I speak for more than 2 minutes uninterrupted, after I'm done, I have to finish my beer. So I would have had to do that after the Robin Williams thing.
Oh, man. Wow, this is going to be so much fun.
It's going to be so much drinking. If anyone, specifically me, because I'm the most likely to do that, but if anyone uses a pun or a play on words, we drink.
How pun-fortunate.
Yeah.
Drink!
Does that count as both? And if anyone says Game of Thrones. Not Thrones, not G-O-T.
G-O-T.
Yeah, not Game. Game of Thrones. Take a drink. If every 10 minutes after we go over the hour mark, Ben and I have to chug for 15 to 30 seconds. So every 10 minutes after the hour, we have to stop and drink for half a minute or so. So basically, we have to chug a beer.
Man.
What are the rules if you're at the end of your bottle, or do you just move from one thing to the next?
I think I mean every time I've ever played a drinking game or anything like that, I mean, as soon as you finish a bottle, you open another one.
Okay,
that's pretty much just. And the last one is maybe my personal favorite, and I'm sure we'll get into it more. Which this is so dangerous since we're close to football, but if anyone mentions Johnny Manziel, we have to take a shot.
What about LeBron? Should we put LeBron in there too?
No.
You guys are gonna have 80 shots.
Yeah, it is one or the other. And I thought about making it, instead of Johnny Manziel, if we call him Johnny Football. We have to take a shot.
What if we do Johnny Manziel 1 shot, Johnny Football is 2 shots
or even Johnny Manziel drink, Johnny Football shot.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, of course you're good with it. You're not drinking.
It's gonna be so much fun, guys.
Bow your shits. So that's a preview of coming attractions. I don't know when.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Oh, here I also wrote the ingredients. Here's what we need for the Bev'd Up podcast.
Oh, okay.
A minimum of 4 1-gallon jugs.
Oh man!
Not saying we're going to use them all, but that could be how we actually
better to become prepared.
A 6-pack of Angry Orchard, possibly 2, depending on how we decide to do it.
Okay.
Like a 6-pack for you and a 6-pack for me, and a bottle of Fireball. And then that was, I think I told you, we'd pour the Angry Orchard into the gallon jug, and then pour the Fireball in with that.
Right.
So we've got our Fireball cider mixture. Then I was going to get a 6-pack of Shiner Bock for me, because that's one of the easiest things for me to drink. And then a 6-pack of whatever you want.
In mind. But anyways, we will
scheduling. We'll talk about it later.
Yay!
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, San Diego.
Stay classy.
Later, we're out.
All right, bye, people.
Stay classy.
Bye, friends.